grounded right
Hmm.
now. 24 hours left. Yeah, I got a little bit of the shake.
I heard the last day is usually the first and the last days are kind of like your biggest pushes.
Well,
So,
I it, so the first day is a huge push,
mhm.
obviously. Day one, everyone wants to get involved. It used to be like the first 2 or 3 days, and now the window is shortening on both sides. I feel like the dead period is so much longer than it used to be.
Mm.
Um, and it used to be like the 48-hour mark was a huge benchmark, and it definitely we saw an uptick there, but like yeah, it felt less drastic than in previous campaigns. So it's getting harder, no doubt about it.
Getting harder and harder and harder for creatives out here trying to just get their
Yeah,
dreams published, right?
for sure. Yeah, I have my theories and explanations, but yeah, I we don't have to get into that.
So I'm good to go as long as you are.
Yeah, totally. No,
All
I'm good
right.
for it.
Let's get this party started in 3, 2, 1. Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It's your Cape Crusader Cody, and we're keeping it geekly with our returning guest, Wells Thompson. We're here to break down Frankenstein the Unconquered, Chapter 5, and
Mhm.
everything in between. Wells, what's been up since you last, been on the show? I feel like, it's probably been a couple months?
I was gonna say I don't remember exactly. Did we do smut or
Yeah,
did
smut.
Okay, yeah. So I did an enamel pen campaign over on Backer Kit. Went to Baltimore Comic Con for the first time.
Lucky.
Got to hang out with Cabbage. Got to hang out with a couple of industry friends, Micah Myers and what Justin Birch, and yeah, just some cool people.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, been spreading the word about this book. We finally get to do the series finale of our like on flagship series. So
Hmm.
super pumped for this.
That is so awesome, and we've had you on the show. I want to say at least for chapter 1 and 2. I don't believe 3, but I know we covered at least one of the
Yeah,
chapters. So for anyone who is tuning in that is a first time listener, give us a little bit of the synopsis of this series.
right. So Frankenstein the Unconquered is an action horror epic about Frankenstein's monster thawing from the ice after the original novel, to discover that the world has been bombed out and post-apocalyptic and is broken and hideous and violent just like he is. So he kind of fits in a lot better.
Hmm.
He attempts to sort of live a more idyllic life for himself, and very quickly backslides into sort of his old habits of getting killing people and sort of serving his own interests. Um, and the whole thing very quickly takes off into a really grand scale epic revenge story featuring the Bride of Frankenstein and the Wolfman and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And yeah, it's very much a love letter to, on the one hand, uh, sort of pulp, Conan the Barbarian, Mad Max, 80s action sort of vibes. And on the other hand, Universal horror monsters. Uh, Frankenstein, Dracula, just that whole pantheon of what we now consider like Halloween monsters, essentially,
Hmm.
and where they and trying to sort of represent them in a way that is true both to their original inceptions and our sort of modern understanding of them.
So what's it like playing in the world, with all of these well-known like
Mhm.
monstrosities, whatever you want to label them, and kind of putting your own spin on it? Like, how does that feel to kind of have that power?
Oh, it's super fun. It's so I hesitate to say it's the most fun I have making comics, but definitely getting to sit down and go, okay, we're doing Jekyll and Hyde. How is our Jekyll and Hyde different? Like what do people get wrong about Jekyll and Hyde that we can get
Hmm.
right and still kind of do our own thing about it? That's such a fun sandbox to play in. And it creates characters that are like both instantly recognizable and but also feel super unique.
Hmm.
Um, our Wolfman is based, decent amount on the uh like the original Wolfman, Universal Wolfman from the 30s. Uh but he still has his own flavor, and he brings a sort of like baseless optimism to an otherwise pretty bleak world. So you just get very like fun human moments out of these characters that are, like you said, monsters. Um, one of my favorite moments in the series so far is chapter 3. You pretty quickly find out, as just kind of a background detail, that Dr. Jekyll and Byron, who is a scientist in this world, have a relationship like our lovers. And spoiler alert, Frank kills one of them. And Frank kills Byron. He kills both of them, but kills Byron first. And Jekyll just has this moment to like mourn the loss of basically his humanity
Yeah.
before he goes totally feral and tries to kill Frank.
So when creating this series, is there any special sort of media that you watched or read to kind of influence or give you kind of any sort of roadmap of how you wanted your Frank to play out?
Well, we did both. Me and Dalton, my writing partner, did both reread Mary Shelley's Frankenstein to sort of get a little bit more of the voice. And there is, in the first issue, there's like a bit of a flashback sequence that is taken directly from the end of the book, and like what Frank says during that is word for word what he says in the book. Um, and but the rest of it is just like, we grew, Dalton especially, but both of us grew up watching these, Bride of Frankenstein and
Hmm.
and the Wolfman and the Abbott and Costello series, and just like, very 1930s 1940s black and white classic horror films, uh and wanted to bring that spirit into it as well. So it wasn't like anything specific that we rewatch to like refamiliarize ourselves. It's just like, we know these stories like the back of our hands, so let's go, let's do it, let's do our own spin on it.
So we're introduced to a pretty diverse cast of creatures and monstrosities. Can you kind of give us a little bit of what's happened in the series leading up to chapter 5?
Sure. So episode or issue 1, chapter 1, is sort of the introduction of the beast, which is Frankenstein's monster, the creature. um and we get a pretty arguably indefensibly dense backstory of not only him thawing from the ice and after the end of the original novel, but also like living a full life, um being taken in by this family, watching them get ripped apart in front of him, and him having nothing to do about it, and then swearing revenge. He goes on a 30-year tirade where he uh destroys kingdoms
Hmm.
and finds his bride. And there's a beautiful double page spread in the first issue that sort of explores that, culminating in him being strapped to a rocket and exiled into space. And then 30 years later, after wrestling control back, he winds up making his way back to Earth, and swearing revenge on the people that wronged him. Then issue 2, he stumbles across a town where a massacre has happened, finds one of the sole survivors, Larry Talbot, who very quickly makes the assumption that Frank is to blame for the massacre.
Hmm.
Um, Larry attempts to lure him into a trap and realizes that he made a mistake, but it's too late. The full moon comes, he transforms into a werewolf. Frank turns the tables on him, and basically tears him apart. Then sews one of his arms, like grafts one of his arms onto his own, so that he has this uh horrible wolf gauntlet when the full moon comes out. And keeps Larry alive in the form of a legless, armless stump, and carries him around to make sure that the transformation continues to happen. Which is, to me, one of the most overtly horrific things we do in the
Yeah.
entire series. Issue 3, he gets ambushed by Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. They experiment on him, and we learn a little bit more about his backstory. I'm going to get more vague as I go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Issue 4 is a murder mystery where we meet the Invisible Man, and he tells him that there's a creature out there that's imitating Frank and murdering children. And at first, Frank is like, "Yeah, that's cool. I've killed lots of children," which is, again, what the hell,
Horrifying.
man?
Yeah.
he kills a child in the original novel. It's not foreign to him. And the but eventually he reluctantly agrees to help. Um, which does not stop the town from thinking that he's the one who's been killing all the children. And then that brings us to number 5, where he's finally tracked down sort of his main mark for revenge. And you know, I don't think it's a question so much of will he achieve it, but like what will that mean for him? Will he
Hmm.
like what happens when sort of his main motivator is gone? And will it be worth it?
I really, really liked the introduction to like the werewolf arm. I thought that was a really cool and unique spin on Frank. I mean, Frank is dashing. The flashbacks, like he is very handsome.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
oh,
part of the original novel goes to great lengths to say it's not that he's ugly, it's that the parts don't work together.
mhm.
Victor purposefully goes out and finds the most beautiful parts to work on, but there's just like a grotesqueness to how they fit together, and like it's just very uncanny. They didn't really have the words for that then, but it's sort of an uncanny valley effect. So it's not that he's hideous, it's that it like you look at him and you just go, there's something wrong with him. There's
Mhm.
something very visibly wrong with him. And also he's giant, like he's huge. He
I
stands
wonder.
like a full like foot and a half over everyone else.
I wonder. Outside of the height, if people say that about me, there has to be something wrong with this guy, this keeping a geekly guy. What's up with him? So,
I mean, it's like when you shave your eyebrows. Like people won't know right away that there's something wrong, but you'll get looks. You're like,
mhm. And you'll try to give him back, and it's like I can't tell his expression. What's going on here? So I had the chance to read issues 1 through 4, and as always, I just love the art and illustrations in this, the paneling. Who is the creative team involved with Frankenstein the Unconquered?
absolutely. Aside from me and Dalton, who do the heavy lifting on the scripting, there's Mary Landreau and Elizabeth McKenzie. Mary Landreau did the first 2 issues. We were very happy to have her on. Elizabeth McKenzie took over after issue 3. They are both phenomenal line artists in their own respects, bring a very different vibe, but sort of in their own unique way
Hmm.
explore this really unique and interesting and action-packed world. Both very heavy metal, I would say, in their in their references and in their approach. Dalia Maha is the colorist. Uh, she's a Brazilian artist who uses like this really interesting neon landscape to sort of sell the otherworldliness of a lot of what's going on. And then when during the switchover, kind of gets a more grounded feel for like the murder mystery issue 4. Feels very grounded in sort of a almost a Brubaker kind of way. And then Nathan Kemp is the letterer. He is absolutely fantastic. He's someone that we've been working with for a while since Mechaton. Um, just an insanely talented French letterer that knows how to give the most innocuous things like so much pop and voice.
Hmm.
Um, and then, of course, I have to shout out first of all, Heather Vaughn is the main series cover artist. She is a Philly artist, phenomenal. I recommend you go follow her on Twitter, on Instagram, on Blue Sky, if only for the fact that she is hilarious and you will absolutely like everything she posts is pure comedy gold. She is the most Philly person you've ever met.
Hmm.
Like she is gritty incarnate in so many ways. Um, Brenda Snell also have to shout out. She's the designer. They did the logo. They put the books together. All the design elements are strictly them, and they've become a really invaluable partner in pretty much everything that we've done, but especially Frank. And what we're looking at right now is Luana Vecchio's cover for Frankenstein #5, which is absolutely gorgeous.
Absolutely. And we are right near that $10,000 goal. So, guys, if you are watching, be sure to check this campaign out with us. If you're able to back, we'd love to see it. But simply putting this on Facebook and Twitter is going to help a ton. We have 24 hours left to go. So get that link in the chat and then spread it as far as humanly possible. Sharing is caring. It's 100% a free way to support your favorite content creators. So we have a 40-page comic about violence, revenge, and pride. And everything about this series was just I love it. It's brutal, it's gory without being too gory. I mean, it's just that chef kiss amount. And just the action. I was also a big fan of the dialogue and just the way you kind of see Frank grow throughout the years. What era or time frame are we looking at, like where this is set?
So it's a very like Fallout Mad Max kind of situation. It's in the indeterminate future, but we've sort of been bombed back to the Middle Ages.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted to look at it that way, I'd say we're looking at like from a technological point of view, both 1300s and 2300s. Like
Mm-hmm.
you get a bit of a mix of both. There are laser guns and like some futuristic elements, but a lot of the like base infrastructure of the way people live their day-to-day lives is very like medieval peasantry. So uh yeah, it's a fun mismatch, and getting to decide what elements go in there is always a super fun approach to writing the comic.
I was
Um,
a really big fan too of like the flashbacks, like how it was more of like a muted palette, or
mhm.
not nearly as colorful as the series. And this is a perfect
Yeah, this
example of
this
how.
one so this one is interesting because it's almost the opposite. The flashbacks are a lot brighter and like more optimistic in this particular issue, where the rest of the comic is a little bit more muted. It was a really
Mhm.
interesting choice that Dahlia made when scripting out this issue. But yeah, I cannot praise the color work enough or the line work. Everyone brings their A game.
Yeah, and right here we get that little subtle touch of just gore. I mean, and it's not often you see a child murdered. I think there's a rule like on TV and movies where
Yeah,
they
no
can't be
kids.
murdered on screen. But even just the implications of the ball, he drops the ball and you see the ball is all bloodied up and everything. A pretty brutal way to start off this issue. Uh,
Hmm.
and then I really enjoyed the tavern too. How we had the flames, just kind of the only like bright
Ambient
colors.
light. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, just the setting and everything leading up to issue 5 feels like it's almost at a breaking point for Frank.
No, it absolutely is. We wanted that tension to be absolutely like it's the book itself is going to start to come apart. There's a huge confrontation coming. We know that Frank is not the most well-adjusted person, even though he presents himself as very calm. You don't see him very angry a lot of the time, but that doesn't mean he's not impulsive and violent and a scary person to be around.
Just a quick look at some of the
Yeah.
characters in this series as well.
The bride is one of my favorite characters that we get to explore. Um, and there is so little on the bride that we really got to just make her our own.
Hmm.
Aside from like, built like Frank and has the white streak in her hair, it was sort of free reign to do whatever we wanted with her. And in some like she's more human than Frank, but in some ways that makes her more sinister.
Hmm.
I really love exploring that character, and I'm hoping that we get to explore more of her in the future, given the state of this current campaign. We have 24 hours left to make it happen. Let's go.
So how many issues are we or chapters are we looking at for the series as it stands? Is issue chapter 5 like the grand finale, or are you looking at?
Chapter 5 is the finale of this series, but we want to do more with the characters. We want to
Mhm.
do more with the world. It's just not going to be Frankenstein the Unconquered anymore. Yeah, this is the full story is what you're getting with the end of chapter 5. And then we are hoping to be able to do some one shots, maybe another mini series, exploring the world, sort of expanding it. And yeah, we have some cool ideas and some cool characters that we want to bring into it, but it will all depend.
Absolutely. So let's take a look at some of the rewards we have. For $1, you can get a digital indie bundle.
Hmm.
So 5 comics just for $1, awesome price there. We have issue 5 digital edition coming hot off the press at 8, and then you can get that physical edition for just $4 more at $12.
Yep.
You have a
And it's
digital.
a double issue is why we had to do it at 8, but yeah, we wanted to give people as high an incentive as possible to get the physical book, because my god, you really can't replace how impressive the pages are in person.
Mhm. And then that new comic smell. It's like one of my favorite parts of
It's
going
so good.
to. Yeah. So we have the digital catch up at $20, so you'll get issue 1 through 5, and then that digital indie bundle. So an awesome bang for your buck there. That's what, 10 comics if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yes. So that would be all 5 issues of Frank, and then the 5 issues in the digital indie bundle.
So for $20, awesome price right there. We have the issue 5 physical B cover at 25. We have the issue 5 starter kit at 25 as well. So you'll get a physical, a digital, the digital deluxe, a enamel pin of Wolfhead, trading card, logo sticker, a bus sticker, and then the digital indie bundle as well. So awesome price there.
We
We have
wanted to, we started doing that with Smut, the starter kits,
mhm.
where we basically bring in a lot of the smaller add-ons, and it turned out to be really popular. So we wanted to give people a chance to get an enamel pin, get some stickers along with their comic.
We have the physical catch up at 32, so you'll get physical issues of 1 through 5. You'll get them digital and then that indie bundle as well. We have the hot and heavy, not safe for work edition of issue 5's cover for $40. So if you want that little sensor bar taken off, $40 and it is yours. And then the hollow foil edition at 50. This is gorgeous. I love this. This has to feel so cool having like a hollow foil comic in your collection.
It's beautiful, and they I feel like they've upgraded their quality, because the ones that came in for 3 and 4 were like so much sleeker and more impressive even
Mm-hmm.
than the ones they did for 1 and 2, which I loved the ones that they did for 1 and 2. So I was really taken aback by it. Yeah, Comics Wellspring, fantastic people to work with.
And then we have that not safe for work starter kit at 55. So you'll get those stickers, the pin, the trading card, issues 1 through 5, or excuse me, issue 5 digital, and then that physical not safe for work cover. Collector's tier at 80. I mean, just a whole bunch of awesome rewards here. 30% off everything at 100. Adopt a page at 250. So you'll be able to adopt a page for an awesome price there. And then add-ons, of course. So you can get your choice of sticker for $3.
I'll say that we did add a couple of options for add-ons during the campaign, and if you get the everything or adopt a page tier, you do get those for free as well. So that's like an additional $35, just free stuff.
Can't beat it. And then that digital deluxe upgrade just for 5, the trading card for 5. Some awesome prices here. The print by flops for 10. So this was something I remember from a past campaign, if I'm not mistaken. It was absolutely gorgeous.
The very first add-on that we made for Frankenstein, the Unconquered, was this pinup. And really quickly we were like, Flops really has like a knack for this style, and kept bringing him on for covers and prints. And yeah, he honestly, I should be mentioning Flops as like a core member of the creative team, because it's very rare that we don't come to Flops to like punch up the style and give us something that looks really good. Those are 2 of his covers right there.
Yeah, his work is always absolutely gorgeous. And then some awesome add-ons as well. We'll just kind of scroll through them and let everyone take a gander.
All of our other books are available as well, so if you want to catch up on our full bibliography, there it is.
So with that being said, going through the campaign and everything in between, for anyone who might be on the fence about backing, what would you like to say to them to help push them over that hump?
I think that there is nothing like Frankenstein the Unconquered on Kickstarter right now, just in terms of quality of art, quality of storytelling, and I'll take that. Sorry, I have to feed my cat.
Noodle.
Sweetheart.
It's right.
It's okay. Why are you like this? Sorry about that. So, no, Frankenstein the Unconquered, I think, is like there's nothing quite like it
Mm-hmm.
on Kickstarter, and that includes other Frankenstein related books on Kickstarter, of which there are several, uh, of which I am all a big fan. I'm not saying don't get them. I think all of them are fantastic as well. But we bring a certain edge and sort of heavy metal vibe to our interpretation of Frankenstein. I wanted to bring a lot like sort of the energy of Coffin Bound with
Mm-hmm.
the sort of over the top nonsense of something like Metal Shark Bro or Conan the Barbarian for that matter. Definitely some of the most beautiful covers that you can find on the website. And I'll toot my own horn for a second. The storytelling is great, and the characters are phenomenal. And in every sense, when you get this book, you wind up getting a lot more than you bargained for. So, from a purely pragmatic standpoint, I think it's a great series to go in on. But also, just this is a purely homegrown Kickstarter series.
Mm-hmm.
It's not published by anybody. It started and is maintained purely by a Kickstarter audience. We can't do it anywhere else. So we want to give you guys something awesome, and we're dedicated to making sure that happens.
Absolutely. And you've been on the show before. You know the drill. It's time for us to begin wrapping up. So for anyone out there looking to finish their series, maybe it's the end of a 5-issue run or a 10, to make that finale hit the hardest it possibly can, what would be your biggest piece of advice to aid them in the writing?
If okay, so if you're trying to figure out how to end your epic series, um I mean, the big thing is just like what has uh, I feel like people don't necessarily have issues with like how do I make it as big and as massive and huge as possible, because you can write in explosions all day long. It's not, that's the part, isn't that hard. You can make it feel epic and big, but you know, at the end of it, how am I going to sit with like where the character has gone?
Hmm.
How can you explore how much they've changed from beginning to end? That's the main question I would ask, is like we've spent so much time with the character. Do I feel like they've really changed? Is this satisfying? Or am I going to walk away going, cool, never thinking about that again?
And last but not least, what have you been up to outside of creating? Have you been watching any new TV shows or movies or books? I just caught the last episode of The Penguin, and I've been just enthralled by that series.
That's good to hear. I've been sort of eyeing that as like a possibility of maybe I would want to do it, to look at that. I've been my wife and I have been watching through Game of Thrones again, all 6 seasons, because that's all that exists. We're cutting it off there. We don't watch past that point. We've just finished Dairy Girls, which was just unexpectedly, touchingly and hilarious series on Netflix about some girls in Ireland during the Troubles, Northern Ireland during the Troubles. And right now I'm playing through the Silent Hill 2 remake,
Okay.
which is Silent Hill 2, one of my favorite games of all time. I was truly on the roller coaster for the lead up to the remake.
Mm-hmm.
Everything from, oh my god, it's happening, I'm so excited, to this looks like it might be terrible and I'm very nervous that they're gonna screw up my favorite game. And now that I'm actually playing it, I'm so relieved that they aren't screwing it up. It feels really authentic, and yeah, I highly recommend it to anybody. I'm also getting to watch my wife play it for the first time. She is so affected by horror things. Um, like I've been getting her slowly into horror films over the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was like, we're like, when we get Silent Hill 2, you're playing it blind. You're not going to watch me play it. I'll play it while you're away. And getting to see it fresh through her eyes is amazing. It's every bit as intense for her as it was for me the first time I played it. So it's been really gratifying.
I know I can't wait, to do the same with my significant other. I've been really wanting to see her go through the Dead Space series because that's kind of like been a staple, in my adulthood growing up playing video games and everything. So I'm excited to hear Silent Hill 2 was good. I was kind of on the fence about that as well. So awesome to hear that, it's worth the purchase. For everyone out there watching, something else worth the purchase is Frankenstein, the Unconquered Chapter 5. So be sure to hit those links. Be sure to back today. You have just 24 hours. So share that link wherever you can. Word of mouth is 100% free. With that being said, it's time for us to wrap up. I hope you all have a fantastic Tuesday. But most importantly, guys,